How's that look?
I think that looks okay.
Looks pretty good. Okay,
It's too far away to make it work with my glasses because I'm blind and stuff.
Doesn't matter. Here, to our first podcast. I hadn't thought of what we were going to talk about.
I did.
I figured you'd have something burning on your mind and then I can just react.
You can be emotionally more mature.
Yeah. Less emotionally intelligent, which means I'll be calm.
I actually was thinking Halloween. Since it's coming up.
Okay, what about Halloween?
Well, I was having quite a few thoughts, and you know me.
Sounds dangerous.
Couple things. We didn't really celebrate Halloween growing up. We knew of it, but didn't really celebrate it. I've always felt uncomfortable with Halloween. And I don't think it's because we didn't celebrate it. I do think that there is a heightened spiritual warfare happening that day. To be fair, I think there isn't a heightened warfare that day. I think we are more aware of it because of the display of skeletons and death and ghouls and dragons and all that stuff. So I don't actually think that there's any more supposed spiritual activity that day than there is any other day. It's just visible. What are your thoughts?
Well, lots of thoughts. But to what you last said, so you don't think there's heightened spiritual warfare that day?
There might be, but
okay, but we're at least made more aware of it because of the holiday and because of how people practice it.
Yeah, so it's more evident to our physical senses or our senses than it is just on a regular day.
But so then my question is, could someone make an argument that it's extra important to celebrate it because it brings awareness to the spiritual war we should be thoughtful of all the time?
That's a twist. So I think that there's two sides to that. There seems to be an increased curiosity or fascination with the demonic or the negative. And I think I say the negative because I feel like that kind of goes into all areas of life, not just spiritual things, at least in our current cultural state. So I think that you could make an argument for celebrating it to make awareness, but I feel like we shouldn't focus so much on the demonic side of things. We should more focus on the angelic side of things, or the protective side of things, or simply. I read I think it was some theological book that really got me thinking, and he claimed that, or he pointed out that we don't often realize, because of the natural law of things like gravity or 1 + 1 = 2, we don't often think of how much activity God is involved in regular everyday life incidents. So we just assume things because we expect them to act that way because of natural law. But
because we're mechanists, materialists,
sure,
and we're not metaphysicists anymore.
We're not as Gnostic as we like to pretend we are, because we still believe a chair will hold you if you sit on it. And it will because of God's natural laws, which dictate that gravity works this way normally. But he's not necessarily bound to every single natural law all the time, which is why you have what we call miracles.
Mm-hmm.
But who or what is helping him direct that at all? I mean, he's powerful enough, he could be doing all of it. But I believe that he has angelic beings that are supporting all of that natural law stuff. And we don't think about that. See where I'm coming from?
Well, you're basically just saying that there's more going on. There's more at play, aka the spiritual world, in everything than we give credit for.
Yeah.
And
in the positive,
and so
more so maybe than even.
But back originally, because that's still, you could still argue. Great, Halloween brings, the veil's thin and all the whatever, who knows about that, but it brings awareness to it. But what you're saying is it's not actually bringing awareness and making us dwell more on that as far as seeking righteousness. It actually cultivates a fascination with death and the demonic, like an interest in an unhealthy and unrighteous fascination, not just an awareness.
Correct.
Right.
We're aware that there's a spiritual situation, that we're aware that there's spiritual warfare and all of that stuff. And as you know, if you take a tiny little gander on YouTube, you're going to find a plethora of demonic explanations for pretty much everything out there. So I don't feel like we need to have more awareness shed on the light of like, hey, there's demonic forces at work. I feel like we should maybe focus more, almost the reverse of that, and focus more on the light side of that instead of the darkness side of that. And say, what's going on with the angelic side of what are angelic beings doing every day that's sustaining our life, natural law, creating miracles of, Alexi didn't grab the hot cookie pan because there was an angelic being that guided his hand from doing that. And we don't think of the angelic side of it so much as we like to focus on the demonic side of it. And so I feel like in some ways Halloween makes you more aware of, or it heightens your awareness of the spiritual world,
which could be good,
which is good, but it's on the negative. I think that worship on Sunday mornings should be as
much a reminder
of a reminder on the angelic side of entering into the throne room of God.
Which of course our church tradition would talk about that a lot, like that. Correct. We are entering in heaven
with the saints of all ages.
Saints, with David and Abraham, Adam, and the bunch of guys in the future that we don't know exist yet, and we're all entering in that together. So we actively talk about that.
And Jews and Greeks and Romans and Picts and everyone.
Well, sure, yeah. Anyone who's worshiping the true triune God.
Yeah.
So, okay, question then. So you're making me think of all kinds of things on the, like, angels running, like, the angel for gravity and the angel for this and the angel for that, which almost brings you back to, like, some pantheon of some. But anyway, no, so are you in favor then of, are you arguing for doing away with Halloween or reforming Halloween?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it would look like. I am uncomfortable with celebrating Halloween as it currently is in our current culture. I don't think that is helpful.
I'm with you, and that's why we don't.
Yeah, and
even where you get mocked by a lot of our Christian friends and Christian leaders.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre, but okay. But yeah, I mean, to me.
But so I want to just clarify on one point there. It's not because I'm afraid of the demonic situation that's happening that
No.
day, or even if there is heightened demonic activity, or the veil is thin, like you said, or anything like that, it's not because, oh no, we need to hunker down in our closets because all this stuff is on the prowl tonight. And I guess that's what I'm trying to connect it to. It's not because there is fear of that demonic activity. It's because we shouldn't be acknowledging that demonic activity is having any power. We should be acknowledging the power of Christ and the power of God's warriors, Michael or whoever they might be, and that their power supersedes that demonic activity every time. Not just Halloween, but like every single time it has the power to overcome it. That doesn't mean that in every single situation a demon is going to be overcome, because there might be a lesson that needs to be taught or learned, or there might be some kind of something that needs to be shown through that. But it does mean that if you were to do, 8 hit points versus 8 hit points, it's going to be 8 hit points versus 3 million hit points. The good always wins.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think any Christian would, at the end of the day, think that like demons have a chance of like winning. But you're right. We're commanded to dwell on good and beautiful,
right,
and not cultivate a fascination with what's evil. Correct. And it's almost like worshiping the dead, in a lot of ways. It's certainly it's like celebrating death, and it's become celebrating death and violence and disgusting stuff.
Correct. And I guess that's what I'm more talking about, is it's not celebrating the good and the beautiful.
Perversion. Like, why would you? Yeah, why would you?
It's celebrating the perverse, and it's normalizing scary death. It's normalizing that, and you can see this with our kids, because the older ones, like as they get 10, 11 years old, they're like, whatever, it's Halloween time. But the little ones are like freaked out. Why is there a ghost here? Why is there a skeleton? That's a horrible bloody mask.
What is a ghost? A ghost is someone that's a spirit that died. What is a skeleton? It's the frame of a human that's like died.
Yeah.
So they're celebrating that stuff.
Right. And so the younger our kids are, the more starkly they react to that horror, that not the reverse of beauty and grace and mercy and all that. They react to that with fear. And it really does make you aware of, if you're paying attention to that, it really makes you aware of how desensitized we are of that in our culture. So I guess that's where I'm coming back to I think we need to start celebrating we need to start seeking ways to bring that truth, beauty, and goodness back in the everyday. We need to battle it, not just on Halloween by like, I don't celebrate Halloween. I mean, there's those funny videos about, the Karens and stuff that are freaking out because spiritual activity is greater today. And it's like, we need to celebrate every day a heightened spiritual activity of goodness and glory and victory.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people would say, well, it's not sorry, your kids are scaredy cats, but we've been watching Saw 3 since my kids were 4 or whatever, and we're just weaker brother almost argument. What we'd probably say right off the bat from Scripture is, God talks about all who hate him love what?
Death.
So it's associating loving death with hating God. So Scripture associates being interested, fascinated, excited about death with not loving God.
Correct.
And so I think that'd be like the foundational argument I'd make for why Christians should not be celebrating Halloween. Not beyond like, it's scary and it's this and the whatever. Because I mean, lots of Christians do have fascination with the demonic and doing warfare
Right.
and all these things, but it's really never celebrated in like a we're going out to battle demons thing. Maybe you could reform it to that, but it's really just like, I'm gonna dress up like a demon. I'm gonna have blood coming out of my mouth. That death excites me. So scripture like specifically says,
Right.
if you're excited and turned on by death and necrophilia and necromancy and all these things, that's very associated with hating God.
Correct. And the hatred of the reason why it is a symbolic of your hatred of God is because God's entire being is bent towards life. He's bent towards creation.
He's the inventor, creator of life, sustainer of life.
Right.
He's very much into life. His whole plan is for how we can avoid eternal death and come into eternal life. So he loves life. Yeah. We ought to love life. We ought to focus on what brings life and enhances life.
Death is the very antithesis of God's being in some ways, because he and what part of life is the part that God is always focused on? It's community, it's communion, it's communion with others. Yeah. It's love of others. It's love of him. It's community. When you're dead, you have community with the dirt. You have community with the worms that are eating you. You don't have community. It's done. It's over. It's finalized. So if you're
very isolating. Yeah.
If you're consumed with the finality of the isolation that death brings, you are not pursuing God. I think that's what it means.
Right, because so there's all this historic stuff. Well, people will make all these historical arguments. Well, it used to be this, and it's really about that and everything. And I think that's fine. But as history is fluid, like everything else changes.
Right.
We don't even use the word Picts and Gauls and stuff anymore. We talk about the Brits and the French or whatever. So that's not a thing. So Halloween today, whatever it was in its heyday,
even at Martin Luther's time, which it was kind of antithesis, or it was the All Saints Day.
Yeah, whatever that was, it's not that anymore. And you're really, I mean, you're fooling yourself. You're, lie to your friends, but don't lie to me thing about, it is about celebrating and being excited with, and like a perverse interest in death. So we're talking about now.
Correct.
And as it is now, it's anti-God. It really is. Yeah.
Well, and it's mixed in. It's really stood out to me, and I don't know if everybody else sees it this way, but personally, it's really stood out that the promise of like candy and a reward if you participate is a really twisted way of forming that opinion, especially in young children, of like, no, this is actually really good. Right? So they come home feeling very conflicted because they hated all the ghouls, they hated all the skulls and all the demons and all of the scary axes falling, almost chopping their hands off. But they're very excited about the fact that they have candy and chocolate, which is good, which are good things, which are pleasant things. They're very excited that that's what they received from it. So now they're conflicted because it's almost a participation award of like, come do this with me and you will receive goodness. But it's not even goodness.
Well, that's really interesting. Because there are a lot of holidays. Most holidays really aren't focused on kids. I mean, so Christmas isn't like about kids, but obviously we do the presents thing, so it becomes like a very much kid holiday. Just like the big, like Valentine's Day, not a kid thing. St. Patrick's Day, not a really kid thing. Thanksgiving is like a family thing, but it's not
kid oriented.
But you're right. So like there aren't many like kid centric, and Halloween's almost one of those things where like you talk about like aren't you a little old for church? So like you almost age out. So it's really
very much focused on kids.
And I wonder if our culture is primed for reassessing it, because people are so concerned now with like the sexuality stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, why are we focusing? Sex is a normal thing, just like death is a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
But why are we so into introducing kids to sex? Not only like normal heterosexual sex, but like all these weird, varied sex. And people are very, I don't want to say interested in that. Like they're very heightenedly aware of that happening now, like in schools, in whatever. People are very terrified of pedophilia in a way that we weren't 50 years ago. We hated it, but we weren't aware of it. So I wonder if people are they just don't know it yet to say, wait a minute, why are we, okay, we figured out we don't want to introduce kids to sex. Why are we introducing kids to violent death?
Correct.
Through Halloween?
Because it's the main battleground. That is why abortion is such a flashpoint battlefield, because there's a need to begin with distorting your ability to see truth, beauty, and goodness. So that brings me back to the beginning. I don't think that we should be celebrating Halloween, because I think we need to very much, especially with young kids, we need to focus on truth, beauty, and goodness. We need to focus on joy. We need to, I know of different pastors that give out chocolate or candies at the end of the service to all the children at the end of a church service. That's because they're trying to associate this is a good time. This is a good.
Well, it's it's a training thing. It's how you train animals. Not to make it weird, but
yeah. Well,
you get the behavior you want. You give them a treat, and then they associate it, and so. So Halloween, it's like...
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So Halloween is the one place where we don't really want to talk about that. It's just like, oh, it's just a lot of fun. And it's almost... We've had it with people where they almost look at you like, you're abusive that you don't let your children participate. Like, look at all the candy you could have. You have 7 children. Look at the buckets and buckets and buckets of candy that you could take home in one night.
Yeah, people respect you more if you don't celebrate Christmas or any other holiday than Halloween.
I mean, we've had really strange. We've been offered money to have our children participate in the Halloween hunts. We've had that, which was very, very odd by adults.
Yeah, because
which is extremely strange. Like that, if you want to talk about alarm bells going off and red flags, that would be it.
Yeah.
But
and again, it's not like we've never. Like, we lived in a community, like, the whole community walked around and whatever.
Yeah, we've participated in Halloween. I'm not saying we haven't. But it's definitely been a thought of mine that why is it structured towards kids with a reward of goodness, of something that we would see as goodness, like hot chocolate and bags of popcorn and all the fun things. But you're going to have to first walk through my tent that's full of surprise spiders that are going to drop on your head. Like,
well, remember we lived in a community where we had not like a direct neighbor, but like 3 doors down, who openly hated us, talked about how much she hated us and disapproved of us having too many kids, which was like more than one, to other neighbors, was really hostile to us. But her one thing was we had to bring our kids by her house because her husband dresses up like Jason or whatever and chases kids around with real chainsaws. And I like listening to it sound like he maybe chases like 12-year-olds around with chain. But our kids were like 5, 6, and 7.
And she knew the age of our children, and she was adamant.
She was adamant that we brought them over to be chased by a real chainsaw.
Yeah.
We knew that she hated us and our kids, but she was very offended that we did not
participate with our she didn't even really care that we participated with them. She wanted our children to participate, hell or high water.
It is very bizarre.
Right?
Very bizarre.
And I think that's when the alarm bells really started going off in my head, because I guess I hadn't ever really had that stark of an interaction about Halloween. It was always like, oh, well, the kids can have candy. But after that interaction and seeing, she was the one that offered us money to bring our children over.
Yeah, because she gives, what does she give, like $2 bills or something?
Oh, $5 per child if they come. And it was so bizarre that it made me pause. Definitely somebody who is not a Christian. So it makes you pause and it makes you say, what is it about this that you are so adamant that my children must participate? Now, again, it's not because I don't think that Christ's power is stronger than Halloween that we don't participate, because he is stronger than Halloween and he can blow it out of the water no problem. It's, why would you knowingly walk into a place knowing what it represents and say, oh no, I'm going to turn this place around. Watch this.
No one walks into Halloween thinking they're going to turn it around. They're walking in to get, I don't mean sexually, but like aroused by fear.
Right. Yeah, correct. Right. And they want to, you know what, and it's interesting because we've talked about this in a different aspect, but we've often talked about how there's some people who are evil not because they're trying to introduce your kids to sexual concepts, but because they're trying to steal your children's innocence in terms of their kindness, their inability to understand things like death, just their joy. They just are obsessed with, I have to introduce your children to stuff that's more mature for where they're at because I have to steal that innocent thing that's going on with them. And I feel like Halloween is the pinnacle of that.
It's like where anyone's little weird narcissistic impulses that they typically have under...
Yeah, they're allowed to reign free that day.
Yeah. Well, you can see, so, and then sex actually is mixed in with, because once it becomes, once you age out of the candy thing, Halloween is for like free-for-all sexually exploiting each other. Women that obviously would love to sexually exploit men through their bodies but don't have it in them to really do that during the rest of the year are all about, and guys like lining up to be exploited through that. And it's like a day where that's cool. So you transition from
classy Karen
candy pleasure to like adult pleasure. But so then in that sense, not only is it focused on death, but it's a celebration of like hedonism and a letting go of your prohibitions.
That's why I was saying we're not nearly as Gnostic as we like to pretend we are.
Yeah.
When you look at how that holiday plays out, because it's very physical. It's very, here is candy, as long as you participate in the death cult. Here's sexual pleasure as long as you participate in the
you get to hook up
the debauchery of
like a zombie cheerleader.
Yeah, and as long as you participate in the debauchery of the alcohol and the whatever else is going on, there's no pureness to the sexuality. There's nothing pure about the sexuality that's being offered at that point in time. It's just pure pleasure. It's not beauty. There's nothing beautiful about it. And I think, so it's just really struck me where I'm like, I think there's a lot more going on in terms of, it's almost a representation of us versus the culture. That holiday is so stark in my mind in terms of just like we're trying to protect our children's innocence, not because like our children have been to a funeral, they've been to a few funerals, they've observed an actual dead body.
Yeah, you're not
so it's not
afraid of
because
death.
you're trying to say, you know, this never happens. Nope, never happens. It's not a thing. It's about this does happen, and what is the context of it, versus you open a closet and a skeleton falls on you.
And funerals
That's a fear. That's just a horror situation. That's not actually trying to explain anything in terms of actual rationality.
And funerals are never a celebration of death. I mean,
no.
If anything, like people say, it's not a funeral; it's a celebration of their life. And they don't want to focus on the death. We're gonna get you.
Speaking of innocent.
And speaking of new life. What was I gonna say? You escaped?
Did you escape? Yeah. Do you want to sit on Dad's lap? No.
No.
Let me go bring him back to Jesse.
What a shame we don't have the mics.
Why?
Just because it's fun.
This is really fun.
I was gonna. Oh, you were gonna say something.
I had a thought. No, you do your thought first.
My thought was just the irony of. I know it's kind of spread all over the world because we spread everything around the world, and there are different like kind of variations on like Day of the Dead and all these things, but All Saints Day. But really, Halloween, the Halloween we're talking about, is really considered like an American holiday. That people celebrate all over the world, but they kind of look towards like the American culture when you're looking at this, the way we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so ironic because the U.S. really is like a very professing Christian nation.
Mm-hmm.
And those, you know, other than like Islam coming in now, like those who aren't Christian in some variation are like atheists. So you've got people who do not believe in ghosts, like they're very strictly, statedly materialists,
Mm-hmm.
who should think all of this is rather silly and insulting, or Christians who supposedly love a God who hates obsessing over all this stuff. And how weird it is that ours is the culture that has really cultivated Halloween into what it is today.
Well, I had a thought along those lines too.
It's not some pagan culture or some like really superstitious culture.
What is it, baby? Is it time for bed?
Is it bedtime?
What about if you give your dad a big kiss?
Oh, and then bed. Mwah.
Oh, good job. Okay, I will be back again.
Okay.
I'm back. So I had a thought along those lines, and I don't know if I'll be able to retrieve it because of that interruption. But, Comic-Con.
Okay.
So, I don't think it's wrong to dress up as characters and all that
Say,
stuff.
how big of a hater are you?
Oh, I'm a hater. You know me. I hate everything. No. So I don't think it's wrong. However, I wonder if it's somewhat connected to our desire to appear a certain way rather than who we actually are. Okay, and that's another thing that does tie back into the Halloween thing, because it's like, that's the historical, often they say, well, we're just trying to blend in because all the spirits are out on the loose, and so they won't know whether you're a demon or not.
And actually scaring them away from us.
Which is like, if you have the seal of Christ or the sign of Christ on you, which is your baptism, you don't need to send the demons away. That will be enough for them to say, oh, don't touch that one. He's already been claimed.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to dress up to conceal who you are so that you can be protected. So but why I bring up Comic-Con, I don't have a problem with dressing up. That's not what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
But we are seeing a heightened obsession with being something other than the hero that your real life is who you are. Because just being a dad who puts his babies in bed on time every night, and being a mom who cooks dinner, supposedly on time, who cooks dinner every night, that is a hero. You don't have to put a cape on for that. You don't really have to have a shirt with a big old S on it to be Superman. That is just who you are. But I feel like since in our culture there's a possibility that because there's a lot of failure in regular life of doing what needs to be done on the daily in and out activity of daily life, that we try to hide how much we're failing on the everyday by being Superman on the weekends. And so maybe I'm getting really crazy, because I am. But I feel like there may be a connection with that, almost that need to shapeshift, because I don't want to be seen as who I really am, because what if that's perceived as boring? What if that's perceived as naive? It's actually innocent, but what if I'm perceived as naive? I want to look like I'm sexually mature, because otherwise people might think I'm super naive. And
or
so
not good enough.
Or yeah, and so I'm gonna dress up like, Playboy bunny for Halloween. Haha, that'll show them. And it's like, just be faithful to your husband and have a bunch of kids. And you don't have to be dressed up as a Playboy bunny. You are a superhero within the context of the godly marriage that you have. Do you see what I'm saying? So we almost want to display our abilities and what we're capable of with this weird shape-shifting attitude of like, I am this person because I've got this costume on. And it's like you don't need a costume, just be that.
Enhanced abilities because we're ashamed of...
Which kind of links into the purple hair drag queen thing.
Okay.
Because what are they doing? They're trying to showcase what they could do if they really wanted to. Most drag queens can do their makeup a hell of a lot better than any woman I know.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So they're kind of saying, oh, really? You think you can come to the club looking like that and be all attractive? I'm a man and I can outdo you. Right? So there's a potential of shape-shifting, of just being like, we've lost the attraction to just doing the right thing day in and day out. And I guess that's what I'm coming back to with regards to Halloween, in terms of it's possible that there's a heightened demonic activity on that day.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we ought to just be more aware of the spiritual activity that's happening every day on the regular. Not making dinner on time, yelling at your kids, refusing to do the laundry because, well, I've got to scroll and I got to make sure I know all the news, and Twitter's got a new tweet.
And because your husband's not a baby, I'm not his mom. He can do his own stuff.
Yeah, and just not realizing that all of that is a spiritual battle that's happening every single day. But it's so normalized in our life now that we don't see it as a spiritual battle. We just see it as I've got kind of an addiction to my phone. I scroll Twitter too much, And it's like, well, it's not. That's a spiritual battle that's going on. That's just as much as the Halloween skeletons that are trying to scare the crap out of your kids.
Well, they're both escaping from the everyday mundane, escaping into Twitter and getting crashing out over.
Wow.
I can't use
You learned a new term.
Crashing out over whatever the heck is happening in Timbuktu.
See, if you weren't on Twitter, you wouldn't know it.
With your Skeletor avatar, because you're really scary and cool, or sexy bunny avatar, or whatever it is the same. Yeah, is.
So you see what I'm saying? I feel like there's an escapism that we're drawn to, and I have it just as bad as anyone else to some degree. But we're drawn to escapism from the mundane. But I think that holiness is in the mundane. Or maybe holiness is built in the mundane.
Well, I mean, I think that's true. Like, it kind of goes back to what I was talking. God's the one that designed this whole place.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to design true shape-shifting and walking through walls, he would have. But then that would have been mundane. So
right.
To us, his holy, perfect, other than the sin that's in it right now, like, but his perfect world that he thought up and created is this one, where I can't go through walls and I can't, and all these things. And we so desperately want to focus on something that he didn't build, or so in a Christian context, the only things that are super actually spiritual are when he suspends what is normal reality, when he does something that's not his, a miracle, that's not his style, or else it would be normal. That's not his style. Mostly just like to prove a point, usually.
Yeah.
To prove he is who he is. But other than that, it's not his style. So holiness is, and you can see it how he made things. Like, things grow. You have to consistently eat every day and drink every day and exercise every day to grow. And that's how he created stuff. And
right.
Our version of what's cool or holy or superhuman is like events.
I'm going to spend a whole entire month making a costume that's so stinking badass. Everybody's going to be like, whoa, for the 3 seconds that they see me on Halloween.
Even the costume that you made, you kind of respect that. But like
I'm not saying that's
the
bad.
The Captain America idea of like, he was a good and like righteous dude. But really the only reason he actually was worth anything to anyone was because he had a super serum and became better than an actual man, and now he can do all this stuff.
Right.
Instead of a consistent growth every day.
Right. Well, and I think there are time for costumes because your wedding day. But why? Why do you put on a costume? Why does a woman put on a wedding dress that's potentially the most beautiful dress she's ever worn in her life? Because she's presenting to her husband herself and saying, I want to present to you the best that I have. I want you to take the best that I have. That's what I'm giving you. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is, could we not focus on the best? What if you showed up at your wedding and you look like a bum, like you wore tattered clothing that hadn't been washed for 10 years, and you stank like a garbage truck, and your husband was like, what in the world is going on? Well, I want to make sure that you're going to stick by me during the hardest times.
Yeah, and you could see a modern woman.
That's what Halloween to me is doing. We're saying, well, can you be a Christian through having ghouls and dragons and skeletons and slime all over you? What about if we flip that and actually, and you've said this oftentimes, maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm crazy.
I know you're crazy.
Maybe.
It's
we do it somewhat as Christians because Easter, we tried it is almost the opposite, is the yang to the yin of Halloween, where we try to dress up, we put on big hats and we get our fanciest spring dresses and it's all the flowers and everybody's decked out in their best suit because we're going to church, because Christ is risen
It's the highest holiday
in the
of
Christian
them all.
church.
We don't often act like that, but it is.
Yeah. And so that's the wedding day, if you will, of our lives, or of our holidays, if you will. And so I guess I don't have a problem with the costume side of things. I really don't. But I just see much more effort being put into looking like you're dead than Easter.
Well, I think
even
part of what I'm hearing is so it's not like costumes are bad,
No.
or like you're pretending to be something else that's bad. I guess none of it's really maybe truly pretending. It's like an extension or an emphasis of what we are. So we live in a symbolic world. So the woman wearing the white dress and being presented to her soon-to-be husband is not her pretending, I guess sometimes nowadays, to be innocent and pure, but it's symbolic of and bringing attention to her innocence and her purity that she's now going to give to this guy.
And her beauty.
Mm-hmm. And so we do this all the time. When you dress up for church or even a business meeting, you're bringing attention to your professionalism. I know how to look clean, sharp, and efficient, which means symbolically means I can be clean, sharp, and efficient. That is part of who I am. So when you're doing the ghouls and the French maid thing for Halloween, you're cultivating, even if it's just for one night, symbolically the part of you that is really fascinated with death, the part of you that's very promiscuous and sexual in a perverted way, but symbolic of that. And
Correct.
So because we've got sin, we all have that, but that's something we should not be cultivating. Correct. And celebrating.
Or putting effort into when there's a million things we need to put effort into. Mm-hmm. Put effort into not spending so much time on social media. Mm-hmm. Put effort into getting your laundry done on time.
Yeah, so you have anything to wear.
Yeah. Put effort into making your bed every morning. Put effort into beautifying your home or cooking a meal that is more beautiful than you normally would.
Which even that, having beautiful home and appearance, a peaceful home is symbolic of a peaceful, clean soul.
Yes.
A soul that's wrapped up in chaos and depression and distress comes out through chaotic, depressed attire and living situations and everything.
So maybe to summarize it up, the better you do Halloween, the more you are presenting that your focus is in the wrong spot. It's on chaos. Your focus is on chaos. Your focus is on death. Your focus is on fear. We shouldn't be afraid, especially not as Christians. That is absolutely antithetical to our faith. We should not have fear. Mm-hmm. So that holiday, the better you are at Halloween and at celebrating it, I feel like shows, it's not necessarily a complete, overall judgment, but I do think that it does show your affinity of opposition to Christ.
Yeah. And hot take, controversial take that will get the most dislikes is the observation we've always made is the more chaotic people's lives are in general, just like observing them, the more way into Halloween, prepping for months, decorating for months, Halloween. Maybe everyone in your neighborhood does Halloween, but the really put together people who have peaceful, calm lives in general they kind of like, they do some spider webs and whatever. The people who are very chaotic, domestic, I don't know if it's domestic violence, but just like fighting at home, not a lot of peace. They're prepping for Halloween, like right after like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means, but it means, well, something. Probably what we're doing.
What we're talking, and I don't know, to be fair, because I've interacted, I know a lot of people that are like this. I don't know if it's a conscious thought.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it's a conscious thing that they're like, I want to be into chaos. I love death. I'm into chaos.
No,
I think it's
no one would
just
say that they are.
I think that it's an attractive holiday because they've slipped into that and they don't even necessarily know it. Because I know a lot of nice people that fall into that category. They're great people, and you can tell that they're not consciously thinking through, what is this representing? This representation is really crappy. They're not thinking that through. They're thinking it through more in terms of, I'm going to be known for the best Halloween house on the block. I think maybe they would do great to be the best Christmas house on the block, but they don't lean into that, and I don't.
And you don't really notice that with Christmas. Like, some people get into decorating for Christmas, and have not noticed a correlation.
No.
With
that they're
with chaos,
Halloween, and then also Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like serial holiday decorating. It doesn't necessarily follow. I mean, and not in my experience.
No, not my observation either.
So I just, there's something about Halloween that I've observed through having kids, because to be honest, I didn't experience it that much as a kid because we were just so far out in the boonies.
Yeah.
It wasn't really on our radar. But once you get into the city, and then once you have children and you live in the suburbs, you're like, whoa, this is a thing. This is a big thing. And I've just been really percolating on that over the last couple of years. And I don't want to celebrate it.
Yeah, and we haven't. I don't know how many years now. But we've been pretty decided against celebrating it for... And our kids kind of get the drill. I mean, we'll see what this
We
year.
haven't not celebrated it. I will put that up there. We have celebrated it. No, not celebrated it. We've allowed the kids to participate. Let's put it that way.
As far as, like, we don't, like, dress them up all hardcore and send them out to go get candy, but we do, you know, there's social events and stuff, and it's Halloween. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's put something together pretty quick and go. And so we do that. But
it's always felt unsettling to me. It's an unsettling holiday to me. Put it this way, allowing our kids to participate is more of a has been, in the instances that I can remember, has been more of a, there's no power in this, so we will go along to get along.
Yeah, it's not like...
But as a whole...
Truly participating in some, like, religious ceremony or something.
Yeah.
That you would just say, no, like, you can't do this.
Right. And we have said, like, don't go in that door. You don't want to go into that horror house. That's not something you want to do. So it's, you might walk down the street and get candy, but you're not walking into that place. You're going to be within sight of me. We've always kind of done that. But I just feel like there's more going on than meets the eye, and I wish we could, as Christians, figure out how to bring it back in the mundane, in the everyday, so that we're aware of how much is going on, but on the positive. That's the drum I want to beat. And
okay, and I don't know if it's something like that we can do, or that can be done in the next 50, but maybe like 100 years, you could reform something like Halloween to still be an emphasis on the spiritual, but somehow a positive aiming towards God instead of away from it. I don't even know what that would look like.
I think we do it every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think we need to just more maybe contrast the two. So maybe it's a good time of year to really sit down with our kids and say, hey, look, this is the one day that they get to celebrate and worship death. We don't participate in that, but we do participate in this every week.
So that's a training your kids, but I mean like culturally, like if you could picture a time in the future 200 years from now when Halloween is like the most righteous holiday you could imagine. I don't know what that would look like.
I do.
What?
Reformation Day.
Oh no.
You didn't see that one coming.
I don't know why I didn't.
You've not been married to me long enough.
I plainly love the Reformation.
I just had to throw that out there because.
And the timing of Reformation Day is what it is, but it just seems like the harvest party for Calvinists.
No, I got you. I caught you. Oh, you said the C word. Oh,
dang it. You brought up Reformation Day.
Anyway, I just think that was funny.
No, that's, yeah.
I don't see that as necessarily as an alternative. I just had to throw that out there.
Nice. Well, I wonder if that, because we're saying, so we, every Sunday we do this, which is true. We focus on spiritually communing. That's why we have communion every Sunday, communing with all the saints.
Of all the ages.
But to me, then they'd say, like, well, then we can live without Halloween. We can just do away with it. Because we have 52 Christian Halloweens.
Yeah, I don't think we should have Halloween at all. I think it should be non-existent. I think in a truly Christian culture, Halloween is something that we've never heard of. Honestly.
I think so. I think that makes sense.
Well, we've settled it then. We've solved it. I can't believe that. We did it in one night.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
Oh, well, not bad for the first podcast, huh? Even without mics.
That's okay. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Nothing left to drink, but cheers. I appreciate you, and I love you, and thank you very much.
Loved you. I told you it was crazy.
Onward to Halloween.
And now for those costume ideas.